So up next we have Anton, who's going to be telling us about complementarity problems.
Yeah, so this is a presentation based on joint work with my advisors, Armin Nurkanovic and Moritz Steele at Uni Freiburg, and our collaborator François Bacot from École des Mines. And I mean, it takes a village to write a solver, so there's also Sung Ho and Alexei Montezon who've helped with all the surrounding parts of this. So lots of people that could be named here as well. But mostly what I'll be doing is advertising the fact that you should be modeling more things as complementarities and probably less things as integers and certainly less things as non-smooth functions like abs, max, etc. And also advertising that now we can solve these problems quite well, basically. So first, what's an MPCC, a mathematical program with complementarity constraints? I'll warn you, things will swap between x and w a little bit, but they're both just the primal decision variables, basically. Generally, it's an NLP where some of your constraints are complementarity constraints. So that's essentially an orthogonality plus bounds on your variables. So you have two vectors, they're both positive, or both non-negative and orthogonal. So in this case, you have some g and h, which are just functions, and those vectors are orthogonal. These are nasty constraints. The NLP reformulations violate MFCQ, which is Mangasarian-Fromovitz constraint qualification at every feasible point. They're non-smooth. At this corner, your problem's non-differentiable. Lots of problems, but it turns out really you shouldn't be this afraid of them. I'm going to talk about this not so much, but you can always reformulate them into this vertical form where instead of functions, you just have variables. You can do this by lifting. It's relatively simple. And for some notation, it's easier to do. A toy example, you can see in 2 dimensions, you have a quadratic cost, complementarity, you have 2 local minima. So I'll be talking about local optimization here. I know in mixed integer, you'll get global solutions, but we're not really worried about this as much. And here's the way you would rewrite these complementarity constraints as a set of basically nonlinear inequalities, right? You have lower bounds and then a bilinear term, upper bounded by 0. So, cool. So what can we model using this framework? Turns out lots of things, but first let's talk about something you should not do. Don't try to do integers with this. This is not going to work. You get disconnected feasible sets. This means that your solver will get stuck arbitrarily close to your initial point. Basically, your initial point will decide oftentimes which solution you choose unless you're careful about your gradients and scaling and all of this. Generally, avoid this the same way you avoid doing basically sine pi of x equals 0 to encode integers. This is not a good idea. But let's say, what can we do with this? One thing comes from a book by Larry Biegler, which is really nice, that the idea is we want to model non-smooth functions using basically optimization subproblems, convex subproblems. So you have a parametric function of your w, basically of your decision variables, and you have some additional variables y, which are used to encode the output. So whenever possible, you want to basically not have constraints that couple these things, because that can lead, like you saw in the previous slide, if you add this, you get disconnected feasible sets, things are nasty. Don't do this. And then you apply the KKT conditions. And you basically include those KKT conditions as constraints in your problem. And that gives you often nice, you still have complementarity constraints, but nicer formulations of non-smooth set valued functions. Then you want to do some eliminations, but this is details at that point. So an example, set valued Heaviside function can be modeled like this, basically. You have a single equality constraint and 2 complementarity constraints, and 1 additional variable. 3 additional variables. Lambda n, which is basically your positive part of your function, or negative part of your function. Lambda p, which is your positive part of your function that is the argument to your Heaviside step. And an additional variable, which is essentially the output, y. So if you look at what the possible kind of configurations of these variables are, if your function is positive, then your output is 1, and the negative part is 0. And vice versa. Obviously, this can only model set valued extensions of discontinuous functions. So when f of w is exactly 0, you get y can range between 0 and 1. And in optimal control and non-smooth, discretizing non-smooth dynamics, this is actually useful, but we won't go into this too much. You can also do lots of other non-smooth functions. So abs, max, min, generic, piecewise, continuous functions. In one dimension, it's relatively easy to do. In multiple dimensions, you have to do, there's a nice reformulation of Filipov systems. So Filipov systems are a class of non-smooth dynamical systems where it's basically piecewise smooth, right? So one way, I'm not going to go into details here, but you can reformulate this once again as a linear program. And then if you embed the KKT conditions of this linear program, you get basically an embedding of this discontinuous, piecewise continuous function, piecewise smoothing in this case. So, and if you can generate these things as Voronoi regions, then it's extremely efficient. You only need one additional variable per region and some function evaluation, some expressions of your state variables. So lots of other modeling ideas. This is far from exhaustive. You can do cardinality constraints, sparsity optimization. So note it's an L0 norm, right? Which norm, but let's say it's a norm. Vanishing constraints, state trigger constraints, logical operators. In this case, the logical operators basically encode zero is I mean, you can do 0 is true or 0 is false. That changes some of these inequalities, but essentially, this is not a complete logical system. You cannot model not in a not discontinuous or not disconnected way, unfortunately. So if your logical constraints are, fall into what you can model, you can do that this way as well. Obviously at the solution. And note that that's because you just have inequalities and one non-smooth function, which is a max, right? So also from this, we get, again, a very incomplete list of fields where you can do this. We do optimal control with contact implicit dynamics, robotics, process engineering, bi-level optimization, obviously, if you have convex subproblems, because otherwise it's a relaxation. You can do inverse optimization, sparsity optimization, like I mentioned in the past, in the last slide, etc. So now, I told you earlier that these problems are nasty. They violate MFCQ, they have no relative interior because you basically have a L-shaped or this cross-shaped inequality from x1, x2, less than 0, and the lower bounds. So a lot of this sounds scary, and in truth, if you just naively apply nonlinear programming to this, you're going to run into a lot of issues. You will have trouble with convergence. Things will get stuck. Basically, your initial point will determine what solution you get. There's lots of problems. But there's some different alternative ways to do it. Mixed integer approaches is one way to do it. You can always reformulate your complementarities with integer variables. This works, but for larger problems with lots of complementarities, this can become quickly computationally intractable, especially if you have nonlinear functions, then you're solving MINOPs. And while there has been a lot of improvement and a lot of work in this field, it's still very difficult to do for even the kind of problem, the optimal control problems that I work on. Active set methods, actually, Armin was going to present this at SciMop, but I think Sven is now presenting it. Yep, good. So this basically uses the complementarity active set and solves only smooth NLPs and LPCCs. And there's other active set approaches. And these work quite well if you have a good initial guess, if you know a feasible branch, basically a feasible assignment of zeros in your complementarity vector. But there's some issues there because that's hard to find. I mean, finding that already requires solving the feasibility problem, and that's already infeasible, numerical computation. What we do in the solver we developed based on MatNLP called CCOpt is a relaxation method, which based on famous Schultes relaxation, which is basically this. You keep your lower bounds, and then you basically relax the upper bound by a fixed parameter tau, and you solve with the homotopy with tau equals 0. This looks a lot like interior point because in a lot of ways it is. Though notice these are complementarities in the primal, so this is still nonlinear. The intuition behind what we do in CCOpt is the same thing as we do in interior point. In interior point, you solve a sequence of barrier problems with your barrier parameter going to 0. But you never solve to optimality each barrier problem. You don't need to. You can show why, and this is one interpretation of interior point. We do the same thing with the relaxation parameter tau by only approximately solving each basically relaxed NLP. This is inspired by a paper by Raghunathan and Bigler in 2005. They implemented this as an extension to IPOpt that no longer exists anywhere. I believe it was in even the Fortran implementation of IPOpt at some point. And the results there were not as convincing, so I don't think many people pursued this later. However, this is not super enough to develop a robust and performance solver. So we have another entire bag of tricks that we implement. We relax bounds based on the multiplier estimates for these complementarities. We regularize the indefinite contribution to the Hessian using a specialized regularization because you have a 2x2 block diagonal contribution from your complementarity constraints in the lower bounds. So if you know that the rest of your Hessian is convex, you can just regularize this part, and the sum of two basically positive definite matrices is positive definite. So you save a lot on refactorization, where you would have to do inertia correction otherwise. And we do more complex monotone and non-monotone updates for both mu and tau, where mu is the barrier parameter and tau is our relaxation. So finally, I won't show any plots, those I will show on Thursday, but for QPCCs, for real-time MPC, we see 10 to 50 times speedups over LCQ-POW and Gurobi. LCQ-POW is a tailored solver for QPCCs, and Gurobi is Gurobi, so mixed integer. I know Gurobi finds global solutions, but in this case, we compare to the first integer solution, integer feasible solution found by Gurobi, not to the global optimum. Same thing, we see about 10 times speedups over Nitro on security constrained optimal power flow problems, and about 1.1 to 10 times speedups on the non-smooth optimal control problems from Nullsbranch. And yeah, more details in the preprint. We have now this, and yeah, conclusions of future work. Lots of things to be done. GPU acceleration, more bags of tricks, specialized linear algebra, etc.